And we are live. Hello, 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 and welcome to Three Amigos Ink and Splatter. I am your host, Marie Moldovan, with my co-host, Alicia Hodge. This evening we have some fantastic guests popping on and going to entertain you, and I'm actually quite excited because, some of these poets I have followed for a little bit now and truly enjoy. We do have a new poet appearing for us this evening, Miss Marcella, and I'm really actually excited about that. I've read a few of her poems, and I think you will definitely enjoy. Of course, I'm going to put Esther right up on the spotlight right now and let her be the first poet of the evening. Um, so, how are you, Esther?
I'm great. Thank you so much.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh, sure. Well, I love this. The bio right there. I can read right through it like a cue card. I love it. So I'm currently the poet laureate of the Living Earth Center, which is the community gardens here in Vancouver. And yeah, I enjoy creating and appreciating the many voices in the conversation of poetry. Yeah, I recently made a collection of my poems that I call like a handmade collection. And I don't know, I'm just really happy to be here. And I really enjoy so far the community that I've seen you create on Facebook and the publications. It's very inspiring and encouraging. And I hope you know the deep impact that you have on people.
I absolutely appreciate that. Actually, Alicia and we had one other individual, but mostly Alicia and I started this out because we wanted to have a community out there that helped other artists grow, and to be able to bring. We want to bring forward, like it is our goal to bring forward things that will further allow education and so on and so forth to further grow the talents of artists, poets, writers, and so on. And I mean, what can I say? I really enjoy it. I mean, I absolutely enjoy it, and who wouldn't want to do something they love? So I appreciate other poets. I appreciate other artists and authors, and I mean, I get to do what I love, so I think it's a bonus for me. And I appreciate it. So I'm just going to toss the floor over to you and let you entertain us with your absolutely wonderful pieces.
Excellent. And I just have 3 poems. Is that a good deal?
Sure, it's perfect.
Yeah. All right. Excellent. Okay. So like I said, I decided I like to do zines as well. I think there's kind of that power of being your own press and just kind of encouraging people to do that as well. And so what I did was I created a handmade collection of my own poetry, which I call Love Note to Gaia. And I'm just going to read a poem from that. But it's about kind of like love notes to the planet, and then a near-death experience that I had is what the subject is. So I'll just read the title of that collection, Love Note to Gaia. Ooh, thank you. No, you can't see me, but I am carefully. There we go. All right. Love Note to Gaia. I am out of doors. My only entrance, the space in my chest, the catch of breath entranced as my name returns to silence. I was born for you. Lifetimes I've laid feet on your grounds, hallowed my throat with your howls and chirps, hallowed my eyes with the sights of your whales and lizards, only to ignore you flow in my veins and arteries, my supple forearms, my jagged leaves. I am resigned for you, willing to settle into uncertainty while you rest, refresh sky and sea, desert and forest. It comes to this, my only love. I return to you as long as you will to exist, as long as you know I will forget our connection, only to remember within the abated wind on an orange horizon, only to forget again until I internally rediscover that I am. Only a question in the only answer, a cosmic orgasm in skin, making time with a planet that beckoned. There we go. And I don't know if that orgasm brings us to the PG-13 that we were talking about, but yeah.
So I think we're still pretty kosher with that. You are
Oh,
an
excellent.
amazing spoken
Yes.
word
Okay.
artist, by the way.
Yeah, and then I like this concept of self as audience, and that like we are enough when we write our poetry as well, and then we kind of offer it to everybody else, and just kind of, you know how they always say know your audience, and I always like to say know your audience, and your audience is you. And I think poetry kind of helps us discover more with kind of like the esoteric knowledge of ourselves. I like to think. But then there's a part of me that's like, why doesn't anyone publish me or notice me, right? And so I was kind of having that attitude. But the other day, Lucas brought in the mail, and sure enough, the Mississippi Valley Poets and Writers had given me second place on something. So of course, I kind of had to kind of like backtrack a little bit, like, okay, it's good to also get recognition sometimes too. But anyway, I'm going to read that poem. The category was everyday activities, and it's called Mowing Grass. Like lilac and lotus, I associate the soft smell of poison with spring. Nazi chemicals used to collapse human throats, repurposed to exterminate yellow tufts. My neighbor showers her lawn with it. There is an ordinance. I've been warned and fined by the city in the past. My electric mower destroys violet, milkweed, sprout, clover, prompts an exodus of translucent wings. This is the genesis of silence in shaved sticks of grass. I am ashamed by this task of remaining uncriminalized. So that was mowing grass. And then I think I have time for one more.
Absolutely.
Yay. Okay. I don't know if you all like the zodiac signs, or if you're familiar or identify with any of your sun signs. I'm a Virgo sun sign, and this poem is called Virgo Born. So if there's any fellow Virgo suns out there, this one is also for you. Virgo Born. Sometimes I want to prostrate to something of a porcelain goddess erect in mud, offer myself to the static of insects, only be blood. Larimore poison ring on my index, periwinkle tank top, blue web sky, I write as I drive, must be my moon in Sagittarius. I pen down this wisdom over the steering wheel. I am oblivion's observation. Virgo born, I ask myself in the shadows of horizons, what is this? I, deeper, answer, watch the road. Orange-brown pinnacled ditch flowers melt as I remove spectacles. My piecemeal jubilee is the promise of strawberries in the cooler that I packed with ice. Indigo follows me, flows from the gate of my heart turned green. This heat sweet gathering between my breasts, my hope and fear rest in the silence of my pulse. Taste separates from seed. Born a Virgo, world is found in a pebble of stone, Elohim among eyelashes, cloudless heaven haven. Virgo born, I bear all that held me, I hold in skin and vein, the prickle of forest on my chin. I mean to be a witch, a clay chalice, yet I swat and kill a thin mosquito on my upper thigh in slim sunlight. I counter-nourish, a pinprick thirst, the exchange of wanted wanton, birth fluid for venom. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was awesome.
Thank Yes, absolutely. And I am so blessed that you popped up on our show today and were able to read your poetry. Please don't underrate or undervalue your poetry at all, because somebody hasn't noticed you yet. Because I mean, you are definitely a diamond in the rough. Your poetry is amazing. Absolutely. I enjoy it. And I absolutely love your spoken word. I mean, you've got so much power, so much energy. Wow. Yeah, definitely. Wow. That's all I have to say.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to hear everybody else now.
So, Alicia, I'll throw the floor to you. You can introduce Lucas next.
All right.
I think they see us, right?
So next up we have Lukas Allen. DJ, is that how you pronounce your last name?
It
I'm
rhymes with
sorry.
Nietzsche.
With Nietzsche, Dichi. Okay. Do you want to tell us a little about yourself from your bio here?
Yeah,
Or
I'm
how-
Esther's partner. I live in Mankato, Minnesota. Normally, one of my main focuses in life is criminology, being a professor, adjunct professor at Adams State University. I do a lot of criminal justice work, and there's a whole bunch of stuff on the screen, a whole bunch of books. I have some poetry books. They're always for sale. And I'm an editor of the Transformative Justice Journal. I've published in the Ariel Anthology, Poetry Beyond the Walls, and the Maji Review. I also have a Patreon and a blog called Pilot of Uamuamua. So there is no limit on how much money you can give me to create. It's totally up to you. Or the blog. I just write poems on there, and I always think that I definitely agree with Essie on finding one's own voice, putting out there. Oscar Wilde said, "Be yourself because everyone else has been taken." So I kind of definitely love that philosophy. So I turned 40 a couple days ago, and I had a poem called "No One Wants to Be a Scorpio," but I can't find it right now. So, anyways, I'll read one of my favorite poems called Trina Trimacoma. And obviously, it's a made up word, but all words are made up. And I dreamt about this like a long time ago, and I created a whole new kind of off world, super world of kind of culture and seeing things and everything. So, so I will read Trima Coma. I have dreamt past the corridor of Brimstone's wake, neighbor to the bossa nova of Rigel's Everglades, far from the CGI ruining the sea Callisto's woman's son, or when Sharwin's people drum in silencio, where the exile between the fantasy and the real sip each other's fingers, and every centimeter are glitters fallen from dysnomia's vulva. Aquarius age, for unification of cleaved and bothered minds to march whole, and brains no longer queried cosmos by incestuous deliriums, and atom cannonading incantations coinciding waterways for retrograde retrospectives. The rhythm technicians of molecules with other biosapiens and their montages, the octopus, the sea zap, and the red buffalo. In consensual revel with tardigrade hookahs, I fantasized about this Elysium asylum, this Tassinasian village called Trimacoma, towards Neptunian turquoise rim. A solar namaste quote sketched among brightful banners, genuflecting under cousin planets, holistic for the militated, interneted Kabasa, to only forward nondescript gobblemus problems. Abandon your cerebral conduits before you de-shuttle from your nameless moon. I am in front of Jupiter's winds, bringing on the paraphernalia of peace. To cave solace with gravity, the invisible mentor, past the now famous Salunalu road, to glow in synergetic ethers. My eyes listen, carving paradigms from scrolls of thought-producing thirsts of almost nirvanas for us, mortal terrestrials replacing God with Kafka. This is because my glasses have arsoned what I infiltized on Pangea. So we collect buckets of coalescing cool moon milk, delivering from the silvery river tenebolation that pasteurized in situ. Without drama to curdle our homostasis from the dawn of Trima coma, my boyhood tears now shine in a wintry water wheel cradling the grave of the night. I have dreamt past the corridor of Brimstone's wake, neighbor to the bossa nova of Ryagul's Everglades, far from the CGI ruining to see Callisto's woman's son, or when Sharwin's people drum in silencio, where the exile between the fantasy and the real sip each other's fingers, and every centimeter are glitters fallen from Dysomia's vulva. And that is Trima coma. So another one that is not so, well, of course it's kind of intense. It's called Quarry Hill. Near here is where a sanatorium and a potter's grave is. The potter's graves where they put poor people that were unclaimed. So they put them in a potter's grave or they just disappeared. So I have a poem called Quarry Hill. Take a look at the ecosystem from sky heights down at new meridians. Imagination supplying me middle of willows, locusts, flowers, red berries juxtapose, grimy, gray, graffiti, quarry fortifications, scratched on sanatoriums, leftovers, and spray paint. It says, long live the quarantine. Sanatorium lawns, sown bodies in rows. This is where God pushed these people down, homeless souls, unable to go to heaven's cradle, yet too good for hell. Quarry Cave is where cool breath and talk of ghosts trapped, closed mouth of cellar gate, phantoms, aberrations, incantations, shade without colors, forced grandkids taking up last time, took back. And I have one short one called Let Anne and Sylvia Sleep. This is about Anne Sexton and Sylvia Plath that both had birthdays the last few weeks. Let Anne and Sylvia sleep. Smoked a cigarette waiting for Anne and Sylvia. I fear Anne and Sylvia will just sleep too much. Like them, I lost their appetite. Depression has a stomach to keep hydrated. I go to an expensive store. You have to befriend depression, or depression must always be feared, because it cures and pures as amber in your organs, makes you heavy, while gravity rains on you, always craving sleep, always feeling anxiety, heavy chromium. And that is what I have tonight. So thank you and stay dangerous.
Awesome. Thank you very much, too. Those were great. Love having both of you on the show tonight.
Yes, very entertaining. Thank you very much. So the next poet of the evening will be our master wizard, Max Myers. And no, Max, I have not changed your picture yet. I still really like this one. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. It's my bad. But Max Myers is a Sacramento, California resident for some years, inspired to write by a world of natural beauty, loving friendships and the magical and mystical spiritual relationship between all things. Max has been writing poetry and short essays for the last 60 years. He's a self-taught poet and writer, and he is an artist, musician, beekeeper who has traveled around the beautiful country, seeing profoundly impressive and magical sights and spending time meeting wonderful people who make up the color and flavor of America. There is so much to observe and document, and as Walt Whitman once said, discovers the song of thyself. Max has self-published several books, which are available on Amazon, and I'm just going to toss the floor to you, Max. Tell us a little bit about yourself. How was your day?
Slowly getting over a sinus infection. So my face is on fire and hurts, but it's better today. This is the fourth or fifth day of it, and hopefully it'll continue diminishing, and I'll be back to my undistracted self. Um, but it's
Aw,
beautiful. It's kind of
Max. I'm
foggy out
sorry.
here. It's okay. I hardly ever get sick. I don't know if you would call that sick, being sick or not, but I have amazing. I haven't had a cold or the flu in, I don't know, 15 years or more. So anyway, that's all. It's all minor, just part of living. So I'm gonna. I don't think I'm going to take up as much time as I have in the past, since you have a lot of people reading today. But I'll
No.
read. I'll read three or four anyway. Okay. First one is called Folly. So much time seeking joy, distracted by life's ebb and flowing ways, discounting moments as they evaporate, wondering where has my precious time gone. I am a stranger unto myself and vague to others, counting breaths like there were no end to them, while looking amazed into the mirror. Who is that? The disheartened voice echoes in my ears. The hourglass is keeping time and watching, while my follies seeking rhymes diffusion. Seconds frozen never to return do not melt back, nor do I know the way to hold this instant long. Footsteps on the long road mingle with the dust. Book covers wear and fall apart, pages yellowed. Photographs contain forgotten sins and lost names. Still, there is a reason to go forth with charity, naked to the visible truth, maintain consistency. Perhaps one day there will be reconciliation. The next one is called What Comes in Time. Beginnings marked with moments of bewilderment, challenged to learn the right from the less right, often mistaken but heartened with the intent. How many days pass with so much gained? One scarcely notices their passing hours. No shortage of curiosity. Proceed we do. How the years begin to fold into one another, bringing the wisdom gleaned into the instant. What comes in time seems to have simply become. Memory too melds experience, time and being, arriving together as one expression, a life like a tapestry woven by a divine hand. Um, this next one is called Friendship. Oh, the joy of friendship. There is little to compare. Every moment precious, loving signs of care. In a world of many challenges where struggles win some days, we turn to one another to share in many ways. There's nothing like our friendships to bring our hearts together, across miles and years, and often trials surmounting any weather. If one has even one friend to count on for all time, I'd hope that friend would be you. True friends are rare, so rare to find. Mm, the next one is called Feelings. One may choose anger displayed, claiming rights are just to be so. As no attempts to transform are made, I watch the pendulum swing low. A sense of righteous entitlement overruns one's logic. There is an instant's energy lost amidst the rude excitement. How quickly we disintegrate when challenged of a sudden. Most often we don't hesitate to feel remorse too often. It's funny how, you know, there's kind of a flow when somebody reads, or when I read anyway, and when I stumble on a word, and like the last line of a poem, to me it just like totally blows the poem out, blows it out into the wilderness. I'll do a couple more if that's okay. No comment? Did you fall asleep?
Absolutely. You've got no, totally did not fall asleep. Is my mic off maybe? No.
No, I can hear you.
Can you hear me, Max?
Yeah. Okay.
No, you've got lots of time.
All right. This one is called Dreams, then. The land of sleepy dreams, where things are strange, it seems, as every kind of play is set on staged performances, some regret, though many hail some sweet ado, oft including thought askew. There must be an altered mind to leave a residual sense behind. How fulfilled our dreams might be if upon waking we would see. All right, next one's called War. Wars. Great and masterful poems, epically recounting, have been written about wars for thousands of years. The horror of lives and lands lost, of enslavement, torture, and countless terrors. Poems put to plays with history exposed, the crimes of men against men, the greed for power and possession. Still, here we are, no wiser, only deadlier. In an instant, the carnage is before us. We, the innocent, watch in disbelief, asking ourselves, how can this continue? Generation to generation, father to son, our race no closer to seeing the folly, while our hearts dumbfounded break, helplessly asking why, as we bury our dead. Okay, I'm getting near the end here. This is the last page coming here. So it's a little short one here called Cats. We know that cats will have their way, for if they don't, we'll have to pay. But a fair exchange, it seems to me, for purrs and quiet company. Their eyes look into your heart to win you over from the start. And if you have days feeling sad, with a cat to love you, you will be glad. And there's a type of poetry that's called clary hue, and it's AABB, and it typically is poking fun at somebody. So I thought I'd try my hand at it. I have three short, there are only 4 lines, so there are 3 short ones here. There is an old bastard named Dave, an undesirable knave. If I ever see him, you can bet it will be grim. Then the next one is Batman's young friend Robin was in the news today as I logged in. He was asked by a man for a date. To find out if he goes, we must wait. And finally, for the Claire Hughes, Donald Trump thought he had a good plan, freeing the leader of the Taliban. For if he is free, he'll be beholden to me. And last, finally, for you, is whilst we chew on our inner thoughts, debate their merit or the loss, we whittle ourselves a heavy cross, for 'tis the present that is our cost, moments of presence that we have lost. And I thank you for your patience, and thanks for letting me share again. I'm really honored to be still included in this live production that you guys so kindly put on for the benefit of folks like me. So anyway, love you and thank you.
Love you too, Max, and thank you. And you're always welcome here. I absolutely, truly appreciate your poetry, and I appreciate your spoken word. Don't like I said to you, Esther, don't underestimate yourself, man. You are a master of spoken word, Max. You are truly. And I don't know what I would do if you didn't show up on one of our podcasts. I really don't.
Well,
I
thank you.
look forward to your words.
Thank you so much.
So the next poet of the evening, I will toss over to Alicia to introduce, and it is Stuart Marshall. But first, Stuart, did you decide what you're going to read? Are we going to do some of your skits, or are you just going to read us some poetry this time, and maybe we do some of the skits next time? Okay.
Yes, hi. If it is, what am I appropriate? Because there are a few of them that are slightly more than PG-13.
Okay.
Maybe we can do do you have any of them available to your on hand to you that you could pull up at a moment's notice? Because I'd like you to do the female part of it, but if you could, I don't know. But I was thinking about it. I was gonna do pizza one. That seemed the funniest one. But the pizza one where not the pizza one, the pizza one, but the the fortune telling one. That seemed
Okay.
That seemed.
So do you want to read maybe a couple of pieces of your poetry while I pull up the pizza one and see if I can find that? And I'll let Alicia introduce you, and then I'll go and then you can read a couple of pieces, and then I'll see if I can find the pizza one.
Sure.
I'm sure I have it in my emails.
Okay.
Alicia?
So Stuart Irving Marshall is a compulsive Madden and Minecraft game master and connoisseur of all things cheesy, crunchy, and tasty, who also happens to be a pretty good poet and writer. Raised in Brooklyn, he grew to the great height of about 5'6" while living in Virginia and began writing suddenly out of the blue at the ripe old age of 40. Thank God, because he was getting really bored. Are you bored anymore, Stuart?
Not hardly.
Good.
I've been 40 years. No, 40 years. Did I say 40 years? 20 years, 25 years. No, I'm really not bored. Well, sometimes I'm bored, but when I get stuff like Space Mess, it's really exciting.
It's pretty entertaining.
Yeah.
I'm loving it so far.
Oh man, if it wasn't for her prompts, I don't think I would have gotten them, because my mind is like, it could just pick stuff up and just go with it. It's like, oh man. So I'm trying to find something to read in lieu of the episodes, but I only could find one or two that I could put my hands on. One I wrote at a poetry group I was a part of here in Portland. Is somewhat decent. Uh, at least I think so anyway. It's called By the Time He Was Seven. By the time he was 7, he was able to write poetry in the style of Shakespeare, Poe, and Dickinson. Dickerson. The following year, he had lost track of style, syntax, stanzaic repetition, and color. He was at a level beyond the reach of anyone present and past, alive and dead. He wondered if he had become another Orson Welles, doomed for one masterpiece that spanned the ages and forgotten, remembered for a single word like rosebud, or a single line like, "What we have here is a failure to communicate," or, "Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ear." He was frightened. He was intrigued. He was curious. So he kept writing, hoping that it wouldn't be so, or that it would, just for the experience. Thank you, Mr. Zuckerberg. I remember a time not too long ago when life was just hard, difficult. You know, when normal stuff just happened. You got your tonsils out at 5, found out you couldn't see and needed glasses because you were nearsighted and everything looked blurry, and you stayed at home, ate ice cream till your throat was better after the ether. When the family moved south, when you were barely a teen and you met someone after you broke the key off of the door of the 2-story basemented home where they lost the war. My war was only beginning and I wasn't prepared. I didn't go through boot camp or basic, not for another 9 years when Davy and Jim lost their war at the place one should remember. But I remembered a different Alamo, a different attack. Oh, I had my own comrades, ones who fought beside me, possibly even died too, like me. But like I said, I met someone one day, not doing anything special, just chores that bore for a rest a minute. I wish I could spin it in a different way, but I lost someone too. Thank you, Mr. Zuckerberg, for thinking about me 45 years later, making me remember when men were men and women were women, and things cheaper, and all people wanted to do was share a walk to the park a few blocks away. Listen to a few ducks make noise beside a man-made lake with paddle boats and near tennis courts, and shorts almost outgrown, and wondering if we'd ever get together. And no. I watched her say I do. I wasn't listening anymore. In fact, not speaking a whole lot either for a while. Wishing I had died in that church and was buried somewhere else, far away. Not seeing, listening, remembering the PTSD I still suffering to this day. The pain still hasn't gone away, and I still dream of, contemplate death. Oh, I see it all around me now. Scenes from action films. Wiley falling, getting up, falling, still, with springs, slings, and arrows. Thank you, Mr. Zuckerberg, for now. YouTube provides me with all the death I can possibly fathom. Knives, swords, guns, TNT, all sorts of scary stuff to consider. Man, what would I have ever done without it? A relaxed distraction from the day and night terrors. The flights of horrific simplistic flashes of remembrances of that which I try to forget, yet still remember. Not fondly, but often. enough to consider a Three Stooges marathon and old commercials of Hertz putting you in the driver's seat and the heavenly coffee. I still remember after all those years, still hearing the I do's as I sit, embalmed by my own formaldehyde. Not as pliable as before, but as dead as Mom and Pop and the 3 dogs I buried in Ruston, Louisiana, in plastic bags. Thanks, Mr. Zuckerberg. I just needed an extra bag. I don't have a title for this one. Those are all of you who choose to reject the eternal mind, the common sense for the nihilistic, foolhardy adjustments to the narcissistic mentality of I am right no matter what, must and will by your own will and ignorant testament be tortured by your own collective mathematical dream. 1 + 0 = X. An equation you created that can never be solved since the self in your view does not exist. Being alone is impossible because you hate yourselves, so X is usually equal to infinity, insofar as infinity is the group of all possible permutational group designations that are humanly and inhumanly possible. 1 + 1 = X or 0. Another unsolvable equation, solvable on days ending in insane and leapt to illogical conclusions, only equal to 2 when both ones are left. Otherwise, there are X. If and only if the sun rises in the west, George Floyd is actually alive and identifies as a female trans bodybuilding equestrian who goes by the personal pronoun Io, which is neither here nor there, but circling Jupiter at a mean orbit of 421,700 kilometers. 1 + 2 = unacceptable without a chaperone, a gun, which you own irregardless of previous owner or legality of possession. It is legal because it's mine. I paid for it, and you can die, you fascist pig, or pry it from my cold dead hand. 1 + 3 = Y. I did nothing to you. Where's my safe space? My freedom? My trigger warning app? Does it not malfunction as well as my black magic ball of Marxist words and phrases and failed social concepts? Abracadabra, hocus pocus. Abracapocus, hocus cadabra, Newport Beach, Walla Walla, Washington. Yeah. What's up, Croc? My favorite place. Where is my favorite place? Wherever it is I want to go. Now. Not later when it's convenient. Not when the weather is warm and the flowers bloomed. Not when there are birds singing or lakes flowing clean and clear. Now, when I can make use of the pain of inspiration, chaos, and hope. "20 minutes. If a tree fell in the woods, and there was no one around to hear, I'd be there writing about the leaves falling and listening, singing to the karaoke rendition of Lead's Immigrants, Black Dog, Moby's Porcelain, dreaming about arms embracing, tossing, turning on a beach while the tide rolls in, popcorn in hand, big screen, Lancaster, classic before the microphone, spilling guts of boisterous voice beyond the crowd. I'd climb that tree and look out among the other trees to the high snow-peaked mountains, to the Louvre, to the room where she half smiles while I sketch a picture of how it feels to be in the arms of the one you love in words. The empty street. The street was empty. I could hear the crowd shouting, screaming, foams of desire, of anticipation flowing down cheeks, clothes ripped in ghastly passion never before seen, blood and fang and spear and dagger and death. There was a deafening roar, then a deafening silence as he spoke, then screamed his orders, then his outrage. On my command, unleash hell. Then, are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Are you starving for the lives of those who nightmare dream about in your darkest corners? Do you dare to unleash powers unrealized, unforeseen, unfathomed? I can see the anger in his eyes, the anger of 1,000 wounds, of 1,000 deaths, tears of lost soul at war with enemies perceived, their countries, their souls. May they be forever at peace where they lay on the battlefields and in the arenas forever. The morning is cold. As I get older, standing at the stop, staring, the red lit light behind, the red lit behind of cars, the red way all day corner stop prevents the flow of. I gotta start this over. I'm sorry. The morning is cold as I get older, standing at the stop, staring. The red lit behinds of cars, the red one-way all-day corner stop prevents the go of oncoming traffic from the medical offices. Empty now at such an early time, after 6, after my breakfast, after a sleep too short and dream too long. I welcome the morning dark, overly bright fog lights shining through the mind fog that is, and welcome the bus as it comes and opens its doors nosily at me. How does one measure madness? An insignificance, a seed, a moment begun in pure innocence turned doubt, turned frustration, turned passion, turned fear. What can be stretched? What numbers calculated to demonstrate a mystery beyond reason, beyond thought, beyond and apart from the soul, and part unbridled, uncontrolled, unreasonable? Watery eyes, tears, not tears, salivary residue, bitter spit, a chaotic conscience, dysfunctional disfigurement, abnormal normalcy, a confusing conundrum. Is madness passion, or is passion a moment of rare, energetic, creative awareness? Is it a disease or a cure that expands the mind to its outer limits where no man wishes to go? A frontier unfathomed, a nightmare unimagined. The mind is space. No one can adequately describe the vastness. One cannot speak with breath of the countless possibilities, random sureties. It is difficult to stop, to think about the mere identity of existence, self-identity, the physics of miracles, coincidence, chance, luck, if they truly exist. Place, time, fertility, sterility, ability in one, not in another, the human condition. So many questions, not many clear answers. So many wrong, too few right. One moment, wrong the next. One can understand, if not measure, the existence of madness. They said it was an accident, but not like that song in the 70s after that quarrel between a couple in love swore love on a bed of roses under the stars beneath the serious moonlight. Not like that scene in Jacob's Ladder when he thought it was someone else and it wasn't. And it wasn't like that gas pedal instead of the brake thing. Not one of those incidences they labeled freak happening to one of those they call innocent bystanders. No, it was worse. Well, it could have been, might have been. Stranger things have happened that that one never sees but hears about, catches a glimpse of on YouTube or Facebook. But nothing is truly as real as what you can imagine. Nothing is as devastating to the heart and soul as what you can witness deep in the dark corners of your mind's imagination. Ask King, ask Lovecraft, ask Poe, ask Carpenter. They can tell you. They can even show you if you have an hour or two, or time to curl up in the deep cushion of a lazy boy and read. My proudest moment. It was my proudest moment, the moment couldn't have imagined in my wildest dreams, day or night. I fought both grimace and smile, goosebump and doubt, a lingering fear of both victory and defeat, success and failure, dreams of almost there, nightmares of leading to nowhere, and or worse, the curse of the dry spell, the dry mouth, the rash that visits with its overnight bag but just won't leave. My proudest moment, my first through 10th poem at 40, like a sleeve of Oreos in a single setting, like a carton of vanilla bean Breyers ice cream, straight from the carton with a small spoon, savoring each and every mouthful. Then 10 more the next day, 5 in the morning, the rest of at midday, while the fried eggs and bacon and toast digest, while Tiger debuted at a master of his domain, winning by 18 or 16 or some crazy number. Another proud moment. Parental acceptance, a rare smile, or raid on free press bookstore magazine racks, handing them out like peppermint sticks at Christmas time. My first public showing. Exhaustion like running a marathon with your eyes closed, hoping to somehow get to the finish line, the starting line, and start the race. I have no feeling anywhere. It's like my mind is full of anesthetic. It sounds pathetic, but it's true. The numbness is like Novocaine, but it doesn't take the pain away, but keeps it hidden till the numb goes away, goes away, goes away. I can't make it go away. I can feel my brain. The neurons have taken a vacation to Numb City, where the beaches are full of silent, toothless sharks and jellyfish spreading crunchy peanut butter on my memories, turning my dreams into nightmares. I can feel my lips. They speak but nonsense, like blah, blah, blah. The language of love is lost. My vocal cords cannot conceive of the catastrophe. I can't feel my heart. It beats as a shriveled prune, the bloody waste emptied and lost for good. And after I died, I felt the tears as they flowed, gleamed in the golden sunlight, spoke the words shaky and unclear, clear only to the one who could hear beyond the darkness, beyond the rising and setting sun, beyond the moonlight's gravity. She picked up the phone before it rang, seconds before, like intuition, like a sweet, secret awareness no one else possessed, an urge unreal, a feeling past feeling, an eternity of being beyond human existence, beyond spiritual existence. She waited to hear my voice and I hers. No one spoke. No one had to. It was fine because both of us knew and it was okay. The ink had dried. It's all been written, laid plain upon the page, penned in script for all to see. In the words that gives to thinking back to the time the ship was sinking, to the time my lifeboat linking to the dockless shore. Why just this and nothing more? I lie on my bed, sleeping, hearing a noise. My eyes go peeking, opening and peeking back and forth around the room. It's so dark I barely stand it. Suddenly I feel stranded, like my arms and legs be banded to the dockless shore. Doom and darkness to my core. What it lacks in
Well,
me. Yes.
I think we probably. Hold on a second.
Oh my gosh.
I have like. There we go. Echoing back. There we go. I think we've probably, maxed out on time for your readings, and I really feel bad for kind of interrupting you, Stuart. So maybe next time we will read that. What is it? The Tarot Pizza podcast. The Tarot Pizza. Sorry, the Tarot. Sorry. Seems we're having technical difficulty.
Practice that before we do it, actually.
Okay, sounds good. It seems I'm getting a lot of echo back. I have to kind of mute your mic before I can let you talk. So, yeah. Your poetry this evening was absolutely wonderful. I absolutely enjoyed it. It's deep, emotive, and I find myself almost coming to the point of tears often when I do hear your pieces. And once again, I really apologize for interrupting you and kind of cutting you short. If I could, I would let you go for hours and hours and hours and sit here in awe. But I kind of would like to move on to the next portion. So I hope you can forgive me.
No problem at all.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So the next portion of the evening, I'm actually going to read a couple of my poems. And Alicia, do you have any poetry that you would like to read this evening?
I don't have anything for tonight of myself,
Oh.
except for maybe the leap of faith submission. But
Okay, so what I'll do is I will read a few of my pieces, and then we will move on to reading the submissions, because actually Three Amigos Ink and Splatter recently put on a contest. The lead person of that contest is Michael Lacey. He came up with an idea, and I think later on Mr. Stuart and Lacey might, I don't know, they might move on to partnering up and expanding that. We'll see how that goes. It's kind of in the baby stages right now, but we still put a contest out there, and so we have 11 submissions. And we'll read those 11 submissions after I read my few poems. And then we'll read the four poems from the admins, 4 or 5. How many is there? I don't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll read the submissions that are done by the admins, and hopefully sometime this week we will have a ruling. I know that I'm having difficulty deciding the winner. Like the first, second, and third. I mean, the ranking. I mean, there's so many. I mean, out of the 11 poets that submitted, it is. I mean, there's different styles, and the work is amazing, and it's been a struggle for me to determine which one I like the most. I do have a favorite. I'm going to admit that, but I'm not going to mention that because I don't want to influence any of the other judges. So hopefully, sometime this week we'll have a decision. I'm hoping by Wednesday, but again, I also know that some of the other judges are having a little bit of difficulty determining too. They're struggling because all the submissions are so fantastic. Okay, so I'll move on to my piece. Alicia, I'll have you introduce me, please.
All right. Marie Moldovan is a published poet, author, and artist. Her digital art book, Puppet Cross, can be found on blurb.com and Amazon, and it is beautiful, by the way. She is also an amazing mother and friend, as well as a Reiki master and shaman.
Yes, and some call me a witch doctor. Yes, yes, depending on who you are. Okay, so the first poem that I decided that I wanted to read, I'm actually going to read 3 of them. Here it is. Okay, so this one, basically, I have a tendency to write from my life. So my poetry is based on a lot of memories and combinations of things and experiences, but I feel that most poets, they write from themselves. So when they write poetry, they are basically writing from themselves, from about themselves, and so on and so forth. But I mean, we have the capacity to take whatever we have in our environment and translate it through our filter and then present it forward. So I'm not to sound like a narcissist, but I mean, I think all of my poetry in the end, because I am the filter presenting it, even if I am creating art, is about me one way or another. So the first poem that I'm going to read is titled How Could I Have Known? It actually is talking about me and my mother. How could I have known? I hope you die alone, I said in a message over the phone. How could I have known? The words uttered with my cursed lips be the words that sink my mother's ship. How could I have known my words would cast a spell that would cause the emotional sea within the blood to whirl, pulling my mother's ship in a swirl to the depths of cancer's abyss? How could I have known my words cast in anger would have that much power? How could I have known a death seed had been sown? I was angry, consumed by formidable fog of rage at having given up everything upon my father's call, begging me to come home. At having given up my job, my apartment, and taking the risk to return to the place of my birth with my husband and child in tow. I was angry at myself for having traveled across country with barely a penny in my pocket. I was angry for stupidity, hustling to my familiar arc, to give my mother a renewed beat within my heart, only to have my heart painfully ripped out and tossed within a matter of days, when the bliss of family reunion wore off and recovered my mother to her old ways, resurfacing the face of cruelty and cunning. I couldn't believe my ears when she called me on the deck for a little chat and then gave me a choice. Tell my husband he must go or find myself on the street with no money and no home. What? Seriously? I couldn't believe my ears. How dare she? Did she think I would consider tossing my husband on the street? My tragically ill and bedridden husband? Did she think I would toss him like a piece of useless trash because she demanded it of me? Boiling with anger to the point of evaporation, I rejected the preposterous offer. Told her she was a monster for manipulating me into giving up my security, my job, my home, and my life, and to have her slap me in the face with disaster. How dare she? I packed up my bags, gathered my husband, gathered our crying child, and drove to the nearest parking lot. We needed money, So I hustled up a little cash by selling off any and all bling I had in my possession. I sold it all, found a way to get up and go, head to the next location, without a plan, just the belief that we three, my husband, child, and I, would survive, would thrive, and make it to our unknown destination if I just hustle and drive. I knew something. I knew somehow everything for us would be all right as long as we held on to each other tight. My only regret, the message I left for my mother that night, wishing her to be consumed by insufferable pain and claiming her a monster destined to die alone. How could I have known? How could I have known my terrible words would cast a powerful spell through a hurtful message left on the phone? How could I have known? Not long after that dreadful day, my mother was diagnosed with cancer. She suffered in tremendous pain and agony. She nearly died alone. She would have died alone had my husband and I not appeared at her side as she took her last breath, and died. How ironic it is that two of the three she tossed on the street as trash, whom cursed her misery and anger spell, whom cursed her to die alone, would be the ones to stand, at her side as she took her last breath. Now, this is basically a true story. My family had asked me to come home, so I gave up my apartment, my job, my security, and everything. And my husband, he was really sick, so he really couldn't provide much for a family. And I went across Canada to, at the mercy of my family, and they did toss me and my child and my husband on the street. And that was during we had these basically a housing crisis at one point in time in Canada where there was a 1% vacancy rate. So your chances of being able to rent anything at that point in time was next to nothing unless you had something like, $3,500 to pull out of your hiney to rent. But even then it was slim pickings. And so we actually ended up on the street for approximately 3 years. And it was difficult, but my daughter and we survived. We went from place to place. We ended up going from, I getting a tent, and then I ended up getting this job for a real estate flipper. So we would stay in a camper and go from job site to job site. So we were lucky to do that. So it wasn't, I did the best that I could to hustle and make the situation work. And my daughter, because she was young, she didn't notice much, but we were pretty much on the street for a very long time. Lived out of the car for a period of time and somehow managed for everything to be okay. And unfortunately, I did leave that nasty message for my mother, and my mother did end up, she was diagnosed with cancer, and later she passed away. And I forgive my mom. I love my mom, and I know that she was in her way trying to do the best for me because she probably thought that I was in a situation that she wanted to try and help relieve me from. But her and I have a history, and whenever I really truly needed her to be there, she couldn't be for various reasons. Okay, so the next poem that I want to read is titled, okay. Just give me a moment. I lost my place. Oh boy, I'm in. Okay. The next one is titled Weight and Perdition. And again, this is based on a true story. I have had 3 partners in my life, and my second partner, like all of my partners have had long-term relationships, and my second partner had this brilliant, like he was with me for a while, and then one day decided that he wanted me to adopt his son. He had a son with a woman, because he's like basically from the Middle East, and he had a son with a woman, and the family had basically indicated that made promises of marriage. And so that's what kept the woman alive. And he had in his mind decided that, hey, he wanted me to marry him and then adopt his son. And I was like, yeah, no, if I marry you, I cannot clearly, I was like, no, that poor woman is going to die. I mean, like, what are you asking me? That is like, are you crazy? And what woman in her right mind would say yes to that? I ended up convincing him to go back home overseas and marry that woman. And interestingly enough, the woman that he was willing to let die became the love of his life. And that is a very interesting turn of events and true story. But, okay, it's called Wait in Perdition. Will you marry me? He said long ago. What? Really? The donkey just asked me to scapegoat and sanction his desire to be a cutthroat. Does he seriously think me the kind of monster that would be okay with another woman being murdered so I can stand by his side as ruler? He must think me truly daft or naive of his trickster craft to ask me to commit treason for the sake of marriage reason. Or maybe, just maybe, he thinks me a desperate lady in which he could thimbleberg with a passion cherry, trick into believing his true love story, cause to adopt the burden of his treachery, and present an empty cup as my fault after we marry. Infuriated by his proposal, I tactfully tore down his card castle, using his religion as a tool to accomplish the demolition. I told him I could not honor him with my hand's permission if he could not honor his word set in tradition. Setting up to put his offer out for disposal, I clearly laid the fact that he did tango with a young girl long ago, knowing full well the culturally forbidden deed would mark her with a scarlet letter upon delivery of his seed, and cause a child and mother a spot to hang in the gallows if he violated his previous engagement vows. Fully aware that he believed himself a fish hooked by a cunning fisher, I tried to paint him a broader picture by drawing out the situation in a different nature. You see, although the young girl in question failed to use requested contraception, he did pull a Black Widow move with his love confession in order to fulfill his sexual passion, willfully breaking old school tradition, causing his parents a need to barter for his salvation. An agreement was drawn to return honor to the family through holy matrimony, and the girl's father accepted the barter with the stipulation that a breach would result in her murder. Selfishly, the man now before me on his knee ran away from the proposal and was now trying to use me as a shield to reject responsibility. Ugh, how dare he try to maneuver me to take his weight in perdition by offering me a scale-tipping marriage situation. Given the karmic predicament in translation, I had no choice but to use his tradition against him and promise to marry him as a Muslim under one condition. He returned and married the girl of his first violation. Of course, I did cross my fingers in position and silently hoped I would not have to. Oh my gosh. I did cross my fingers in position and silently hoped I wouldn't have to honor the word of my action. Thankfully, my kneeler did marry his original sin, and oddly enough, he evidently fell madly in love with the girl he nearly sent to the gallows for his hormonal foes and selfish woes. Believe it or not, they actually lived happily ever after. Truly a strange ending, considering it began set in disaster. Okay, and so I think I will read just one more. I will read one titled Plausible, maybe. No. Okay. I will read this one, which is titled Nightgown Action. And this is actually about my first partner. Nightgown Action. What are you doing? Are you trying to thoroughly embarrass me, or are you missing a few mental rivets? aggressively spat Donkey as he pointed 2 rioting digits at me, and ironically 3 impeaching numerals at himself before blabbering off etiquette rules. Seemingly, wearing pajamas in one's backyard ensures the pulling of a social rejection card. Unfortunately, the colonization mule believed me purposefully trying to sabotage his prestigious dignity and felt the need to slap me for defacing him publicly. Then narcissistically went on to claim me a nobody and asserted I should consider myself lucky regarding the interest he took in me despite my crazy psyche. Curiously, he went on to claim himself celebrity significance based on his family's monetary excellence. To my dismay, the elite bullhead believed his verbal diarrhea and managed to shade his coattail riding reality. Realizing the situation could result in casualty, I calmly abridged my anger, adjusted my stature to embody openness in manner, and glanced him doe-eyed before going on to say, "Did you know I'm technically royalty? My great-great-grandfather gave up his rights to title and property because he did not want to be a part of a murderous conspiracy. He gave up royal stature to prevent another's loss of vitality. Sure, money and status are nice, but if they come at the price of morality, are they truly worth the cost of soul sensibility? Realistically, comfort provides the luxury of eccentricity, and I understand that you are a ram astrologically, but are you wanting to impress yourself a sheep that can be bullied? Consider the fact that historically your clan's hunting has been the wellspring of my clan's sadness, and the disgust your people have for mine causes me internal darkness. Yet here I am, actively engaged in a relationship with you despite historical stance, because you petitioned me from the confidence of chance. Interestingly, I am aware that being in a relationship with you appears Stockholm in nature, and my mother believes I have a twisted enjoyment of torture, but I view our union as an optimal ceasefire. Evidently, I understand that you are stressed by my nightgown action, yet I am not worried for allowing myself the pleasure of viewing the sunrise and attempting to let a little light into my innermost situation. Life's too short to sacrifice the little pleasures for immoral position, and I'm doing my best to cause myself a sunny disposition. Consequently, you are pissed. Yes, I get that. And I realize that it takes 2 to tango. I'm open to compromise with you, but refuse to accept bully lingo, and implore you to unclench the fist you have directed at me now. Seriously, my dear, I would rather the day broke with us sitting here together than us warring it out away in a brawling manner. Wouldn't you? Now, this poem does mention that my great-great-grandfather did get up his property and title. He did. I do come from royalty, and my great-great-grandfather decided to give up any rights that he had, because he did not want to be a part of the conspiracy that was going on basically post World War II. In the World War I times, there was a conspiracy going around where they were attempting an assassination plot, and that is actual fact. So from this point, I will basically move on to the poetry that was submitted to the Three Amigos contest. I am so excited. We'll read the 11 poems that were submitted to us. Alicia, do you have the email that I sent you pulled up? We could probably just read the 11 from there.
Yes, I do.
Okay, perfecto. So exciting. Okay.
Yeah.
I think might have to pull it up again. So everybody just give me one moment. Yes. Okay. Do you want to read first or should I?
Either way.
Okay.
I can.
You go first.
All right. You want to just go back and forth one at a time?
Sounds like a plan.
All right. This first one is called My Dreams I See in a Photo. My dreams learn of horizons, and of the distance I am held from the heavens. My dreams learn of horizons, and of the distance heaven must carry my heart. My dreams show me the distance from which my love and my will are held apart. In a photo finish, I see a snap of a face, its nose beside my nose, and like horses on a track, nose to nose running headlong into love from a place there's no coming back. A heart gallops along the horizons of its own being. A dream is a happening more than it may seem. A photo finish captures within me a horizon of liberty. It approaches quickly. I'll do well to remember while I'm dreaming, it is not what it seems. Often I cross with other hearts who've galloped, pulling me into their slipstreams, trying to shake me from the snapshot of my liberty. I'll remember it while I'm dreaming. Neither is it what I see. I'm always leaving, but never arrive at my living eternity. Outside my dreams, in another place, I make the photo finish. We are nose to nose, face to face, running nonstop along the horizon of my liberty, headlong into eternity. And that is written by Joe. Thank you, Joe. Marie, are you there?
Yes, that was actually a poem by Joe Callahan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the
it is.
email it just had the first
Yep.
name. Sorry about that.
Yes, that's all right.
That was a beautiful poem.
It is a beautiful poem. He's a brilliant writer. The next poem is titled Leap of Faith by Carmen Jotsinge. I stand in front of hurricanes as you know there is nothing remain, but still I hope in every vein. What do you think I am? Insane? The hope of light is quite bright, even you feel in the dark night. All right, I will fight for the days of light. No matter what, I never fight to make things right. Perfect. That's beautiful. Thank you.
All right, and this next one is by Esther Marcella, and it is titled Leap of Faith, the Fool. Allowance of abyss, the fool in the tarot, golden toad steps over the cliff. Without prediction or promise of staunch landing on liquid haunches, breath rushes. Hunches and guesses are useless in the swingless jump plummet. Self-initiation, the faith of grappling wind, of high kicking in cosmic boom. This is how you begin, again and again and again. Love that one, Esther. Thank you.
Yes, it is beautiful. It is beautiful. And the next one is by Usha Shrivenson, From the End of Time and Beyond. That I took a leap of faith, I never did know. When this wondrous connection with you, I let it grow. But meddled we in soul and heart, not even the ultimate can do us part. But it is not yet a journey smooth and straight, fraught with uncertainties and disappointments in spade. Physically devoid of any mode of proximity, but miles apart we lived in soulful anonymity. A leap of faith which unknowingly I did take, a wondrous relationship betwixt us it did make. The days are not far away, when in unison in every way we will stay, till the end of time and beyond, when we will reminisce memories which our hearts are fond. That was a beautiful piece, Osha. I truly enjoy your poetry.
All right, next up is Leap of Faith by Michael Falls. Fell through the grate, too big for the cracks, riding the train that long left the tracks. A leap of faith 'cause the bridge washed out, just short of the edge but a long way down. And the bottom morose, what a way back up, hate it the most, not strong enough. Faith in what? It's all gone now. One last leap, failed somehow. Holding on, a fantasy born. Memories waste, ripped and torn. Open wide, but eyes don't see. The gallows hide our history. Hanging high, what passed for love. Leap of faith, not good enough.
That was beautiful. And so far, I think everybody can understand why the judges, me including myself, are having such difficult time judging. These
Yeah.
are amazing. The next poem is titled Circles by Dana Cislano de Rende. There are circles that draw you in and circles that cut you out, mental circles of prejudice and circles that frame the heart. There are circles of life that spin a tale and spin it again, whether it triumph or travail, meaning lies in the circles of planes, encircling and intersecting one another again and again. In a cosmic dance, a music of the spheres spinning you around into new horizons of fears, joys, and tears, yet remaining the same in the circles of wonder you may attempt to flee. The pull of destiny to no avail, you will fail, for destiny will prevail the circles. You will find out. In the treachery of life, the parallel lines seem never to meet, but there are circles in disguise. They manifest each defeat and victory recorded in the circles of life you must achieve your destined goal, for in the circles there is no detour. You must walk the straight line, the narrow path, to complete the circles of divine intent from start to finish. The path you pursue is the Mobius line that seems straight to you, but it circles back into multiple dimensions that are one, and the circle defines you and leads you forward. The mystery lies in the geometry defined by dimensions untold as your destiny unfolds. The logic and the mystery too great to behold, a higher order encircles your life. Believe in mystery and the circles of destiny as you walk the plank straight into the unknown.
All right. Next up, we have Three Things by Stuart Dan. Lord, I ask thee for forgiveness for the wrongs in my life I did. Please now fill my heart with purity, so any demons I may rid. Rest my soul in peacefulness. Let me come now unto thee, that you may now open your arms so that they may comfort me. For in my later years I need to be safe, so I ask thee, Lord, let me take this leap of faith. For there are three things that I believe in now the most. My heart is now wide open to the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. They do guide my actions, give me strength when I'm in need, have shown me wrong paths, these warnings I must heed, have shown me so much joy and filled my heart with prayer, breathing new life into me, just knowing they are there. For in my later life I need to be safe, so I ask thee, Lord, let me take this leap of faith. For there are three things that I believe in now the most. My heart is now wide open to the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. For they will not forsake me. Unto you, Lord, do I now look. All my sins and sorrows Christianity had took. That now I live my life completely, a brand new light I now do see, feeling all their presence as they now walk beside me. For in my later life I need to be safe, so I pray to thee, Lord, let me take this leap of faith. For there are three things that I believe in now the most. My heart is now wide open to the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Amen.
Amen. That was beautiful, Stuart. Stuart Dan. The next poem is titled Abducted. Do you know Abducted by Rudra Prasad Warrior? Do you know what it is to be abducted, taken away from places, people you thought with well, okay, I'm going to start that again. Woohoo. Abducted. Do you know what it is to be abducted, taken away from places, people you thought with you would always stay? Abandoned, left in Fine's mess, a state of terrible disarray, feeling lonely, cold, bitter, seeing life in shades of gray. Sometimes it is people that decide not to stay. You don't want to let go, but you really have no say. You want them back, you reach out, go out of your way. You end up losing not only them, but yourself in the fray. Sometimes in your dreams that lead you astray, immense possibilities, they hold your heart under their sway. When you decide that joyful leap of faith to take, you are soon alone. There is no one the journey with you to make. Then again, there are dreams that met you in life midway. You weren't looking, you didn't notice them come your way. And so once again, you learn to look within you, chase your blues away, and rediscover yourself. Life again is now under your sway. Now, Rudra did include a quote with his poems in Poetry Submission. It is a line by Marcus Aurelius. What lies behind you and what lies in front of you pales in comparison to what lies inside of you.
Beautiful poem and quote. All right, next up is Leap of Faith by Ruth Doyle. Some people need a leap of faith, not at all like Indiana Jones in the Crystal Skull. That would be foolhardy and your life would be void and null. But there's other ways to help yourself if your life is not in good health. Some people have problem with drink. This can drive you to the brink. There are others addicted to drugs and dope. That's why some people cannot cope. But what I have to say to you, a leap of faith is what you have to do. Then maybe your life will be swell and hopefully one day you will be well.
How is beautiful, Ruth? Ruth is an amazing poet, and I can't wait till a book of hers comes out. I definitely would like to purchase one, for sure. The next
Me
poem
too.
is titled Leap of Faith by Max Myers. Okay, so Max, this name, Soren Kindergarten, how do I say that?
Um,
Oh, I think you're. I'll just continue on. I'll just give it my best best attempt. You want to try that, Soren Kierkegaard? I don't know. I'm not really good at.
if I saw it in front of me, I would happily do it. But from memory,
Okay.
I'm lost.
Okay. Okay, please. I will hopefully. I am going to
You
butcher
got
this.
this.
Sorry. Soren Kierkegaard. Soren, they say, invented the phrase, though it never crossed his lips. All he said was, one must leap as spoken in his days, believing in something intangible, friend. That which cannot be proved is more than faith, which does not depend on leaping in that understood. But oh, what contrivers we are to achieve what it is we want, stretching the truth and twisting it fair till it's thin and feeble and gaunt. So do not cry it's a leap of faith to explain some leap undertaken. And it's all in faith to step off the curb as a busy five-way intersection. Okay. There you go. I like that one.
Me too. All right, and next is by Stuart Marshall, and it's called Love Among the Ruins. I fell, shattered into pieces upon the rocks. She was there to pick me up, to dress my wound that was my life, it seemed. It seemed to stand for centuries as a Stonehenge overlooking the tossed and troubled sea of my soul. It drifted like the sea's weed, entangled with broken limbs and ancient pillars long forgotten in its history, no longer stirring textured thoughts in the minds of learned men. I was a lonely man, a Roman, roaming the empty collegiums and coliseums, where the gladiators fought a story that bought a page or two from the hand of a master teller. I fell again, yet again dizzy from the heights of depression. No love to lessen the pain of loneliness, but she was still there, still in her dress, her smile to raise me from my pit to sit alongside, to speak of such things as love. We among the ruins of a forgotten age, a page turned after so many a year and fearing no change to rearrange my plight. I see now the reality that has eluded me, that which has come true before my very eyes and heart, and am glad but sad that it was but a dream that goes on forever. Very beautiful, Stuart.
Yes, Stuart. I believe, did you not get a standing ovation for that one at one point in time? Stuart? Seems we are having technical difficulties. Okay, so the next portion of the podcast is the admin's submission. So the three Amigos admins have submitted their poetry to the group to be voted by the group members in ranking order. The first poem is Leap of Faith by Radhi Banga Paula. I was attracted to the unknown. It took courage to leave. I packed my bags and made a move. I wasn't sure where I was going or why I needed to escape. Life was controlled by responsibilities, expectations, society, and media views. I wanted to set free, break all norms, rules, be my own person, and follow my gut instinct. I sat at the train station deciding my next destination. Maybe I can change my name or jump off the plane or love hard. I wasn't sure anymore. I felt anxious. What if my parents came looking for me? What if my husband asked me to return to him? He didn't love me. He owned me. I was lonely. I wanted more. I needed to be loved, not possessed. I was being guided by a power which was within me. I wasn't sure whether it was right or wrong. I am following my heart, my dreams, rediscovering myself and taking the leap of faith, diving into the unknown, the mystery, hoping for the best and never looking back.
Next up is Stygian Gloom by Swapna Mukherjee. Darkness and sadness are like maggots, sticks to you like leech, sucks your life out. Is it worth? Where was the other side? Dwell on the beauty of life. So beautiful and splendid, so much sunshine and joy prevails. Why not take a dig, rejuvenate the sad soul, throwing sorrows into the silence of the eternal emptiness, looking out for the rainbow, and the storm of life must be made to pass over to an infinite horizon.
Woohoo! That was amazing. Thank you.
Hmm.
So the next poem is by you, Miss Alicia, Leapfrog Faith. Leaping like a frog across the wet pavement on a rainy day in the fog. Will I make it across or in the headlights be lost? I have faith in myself now. I will not be deterred by the rain, by the fog, by the self-doubt clouds, or by the timeline hopping frog. I will make it across and be there to catch my own toss. Now, Alicia, you must let us in. How did this poem come about?
Little frog crossed the road in front of my car the other morning on the way to work. And it
Oh,
made me think of a leap of faith since that lined up with the competition. So
you know, Michael, when he put up this competition, he put art, poetry, and other things. And I was like, I was like, I'm going to create a piece of art. But then I was like, yeah, then I would end up the only one in that category. And I was like, it's totally not fair. I would win by default.
yeah, I don't know how to judge any of this.
And he said we had to write a poem. So I was like, I wrote a poem. So I'll let you read the next one.
All right. The next one is Untitled by Michael Lacey. They say white men can't jump, so I looked in the mirror for a staircase, but I couldn't see one, so I never really took the first step. It's like I've been standing on the verge of something fate had left. So why do I wait to dive into it from here? Like last moments to an only one way left. In a double slit from a mirror to where we collapse, this wave of functionality will appear as probabilities start to subtract. Because everything I want is on the other side of fear, and I'm launching over the ocean's crest because God uses my pain to spring my calling near. And if I can't have visions of the unseen, then what good is my imagination? Because it can scare me to death, like everything else I've ever done with no regrets. Your faith is in a shrine that is set. Mine is in beating hearts with evolving painfulness when you leap for only the landing. You're always going to picture yourself anchored to a standing. It's through the air that you see the biggest perspective, so leap into something worth believing, and if you can stand it, find something limitless in yourself more revealing than a limited man.
Okay. That was a very good poem. Interesting, too. I think a lot of people can relate to that one. And interestingly enough, I get to read my own woot woot seasoned in patience. Um, Standing in foreign waters, anchored in uncertainty, independence faltering in sandy effervescence, chalking me to mercy's shore, signing me naked of armor, open to you forevermore. Entangled by your quantum, sinking to fate's momentum, vulnerably exposed. unconditionally posed, to flow at your will's desire, lightning love's eternal fire, charting a course rhymeless upon chances sea timeless, without any need for reason, disregarding reservations treason, for love without condition, seasoned in patience, repetition, neglecting salty superstition. I hand you my heart, and promise from you I not part, despite my edge's jagged start. And I will not tell you what inspired that one because that's my secret.
All right, then. Keep your secrets.
Keep my secrets. But the person holding my heart, maybe, I don't know who that be. Oh, wait, my other me. Yes, okay. So I believe that ends the podcast for this evening. And I want to thank everybody who has tuned in and everybody who is tuning in when it plays again. We love you all very much and appreciate you listening to us and taking the time to appreciate the beautiful poetry presented in the form of spoken word. And I thank everybody that has showed up this evening. You are amazing poets. You have, I don't know, the art that you presented this evening was brilliant. And I am humbled and honored by your presence. So with that being said, nighty night. Love you all. Bye bye till next time.